You know, we were spending a lot of money during the previous regime, almost $1.5 billion to show up the Naira so that the Naira can compete in the international market, and which is not the best way to go. And now the Naira is floating, you know, so subjected to the forces of demand and supply. And there's a glimmer of hope. Even investors are so much interested in Nigeria and they want to invest in Nigeria because the economic outlook is more stable than what we used to have for the past 60 years. So these are things we would have done maybe 60 years ago, and we are doing them after 60 years. But we need to do that. Otherwise, the country will have collapsed. And every country has to pass through, you know, what we are passing through. If you look at the history of China, millions of people died during the Cultural Revolution, during the Agricultural Revolution in China, you know, and that has the result, after a lot of people died, and the result is what we are seeing. China is the second biggest economic power in the world. China is competing, well, even overtaking the US in so many aspects, you know, that to the extent that China borrows money to the US. Not only that, if you go to Canada, I attended a program in the University of Toronto in Canada, and the professor was saying that, look, at a point, the municipal council in the city of Toronto had to pass a law to stop Chinese businessmen from buying the high-rise in the city, because they almost banned all the high-rise. But this was China. Go back 80 years ago, 75 years ago, China was a very backward country. But they had to swallow the bitter pills of reforms that were very far-reaching. What we are seeing here is a sharp play. I have mentioned that millions of people died in China as a result of the reforms that were carried out in the 1960s, the 1970s, even right to 1980s. So we needed to do this, and I commend this current government for being that audacious, for showing courage to do the right thing.
So you say the price is not too high for Nigerians to pay? It's
not too high. It's a price we have to pay for Nigeria to change, to reset Nigeria, particularly the economy that has been in doldrums all these years, for an economy that was, as I said, we are using money to shore up the Naira, you know, so that the economy doesn't collapse. So we needed to put in these reforms so that the economy does not collapse completely.
All right, well, Chief Okoi, let's start this conversation again, looking at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies. But let's begin from the removal of the fuel subsidy. A lot of persons have argued that this was not timely, looking at the Nigerian economy. But again, a lot of lovers of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said no, that this was the right step in the right direction in order to address certain economic issues. But in reality, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's decision to remove fuel subsidy was centered around benefiting the Nigerian economy and boosting our economy in general. So far, in your assessment, has this promise been fulfilled? Have we been able to, as Nigerians in general, been able to benefit from the government policies on the removal of fuel subsidy?
Let me talk about how much money is being given to the states from the federation account. You know, we are operating a federal system. So at the end of the month, every revenue that has accrued at the center will be paid into a consolidated revenue fund. From that revenue, every state is entitled to a certain percentage, which is maybe about 35%. Every local government area is also entitled to a certain percentage. So the money will be shared between the federal, state, and local governments. Since the withdrawal of subsidy has freed so much money, you know, for the federal government to increase revenue allocation to states, to local governments. Previously, some of the states were on the red. You know, they were unable to pay salary. Every month, they have to go to the banks to struggle to borrow money to pay salary. But because of the increase in revenue allocation from the national, from the federal to the states. We no longer have that problem. We also revenue allocation has also increased in the local government areas, all the 774 local government areas in the country. So that is it. So that was why I was saying it's a mixed bag. They are negative. The negativity is inflation went up, but inflation has reduced. Right now it's about 10 point something percent, which is very promising. When the man came into office, at the peak of the withdrawal of subsidy, it was about 36%. But now it has fallen down to almost about 11-12% over. And also, the growth rate, GDP growth rate, has increased. In the last quarter of this year, it's about 3.98%. And economists are predicting that before this quarter, maybe in the next 3 weeks, it will come to about 4.something%, which is good. That means the economy is the outlook is looking brighter than we have ever had before. And the international community, international investment community, also has confidence. Also, even the institutions like IMF, they have work, they have confidence, and they have been, telling us a lot of positive outcomes concerning the Nigerian economy. So, if you talk in terms of poverty and all that, well, in everything we do or you do, there must be a price. So the price is to restructure the economy, and also the fallout is, maybe more people becoming poorer. But the government has also put in place so many policies to cushion the effect. Well, I can tell you one. Going to school was a problem for a lot of families. Having benefit of tertiary education. And because of what the government has put in place, the student loan, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, people students are entitled to get money from government, and then go to school, and then they pay back when they're out of school, and they're able to, get jobs, so pay back what they got from government to study. And also something like the credit card scheme, which has been introduced in the country. So if you are in the private sector, if you are in the public sector, and you earn monthly, you can be entitled to go to a shop, buy whatever you want to buy a car, or buy household goods, and then at the end of the day, the money will be paid. Even if you don't have nothing in your account, you can pay. As long as you are working. So these are some of the benefits, that have been introduced to cushion the effect of the harshness of the reforms that are ongoing.
Well, Chief Okoi, a lot of Nigerians are saying at this point that they're not feeling the impact of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. But we can liken this we can tie this to a lot of factors that is playing out. But then, well, looking at all of this, first, we understand that where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is coming from. He has taken the conversation from the fact where President his predecessor, President Buhari, who said that he's not aware of a certain development in the country. Right now, Nigerians are saying that a lot of policies initiated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that they are not aware of this policy. In turn, there is a lacuna between the presidency and the people, which has taken us back to the era of a miscommunication between the presidency and the people. But then, when you look at some of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies and initiative, can we say at this point in time that the reason why people are not aware is due to the communication breach? And if yes, are we returning back to the draconian age where the president is not aware of the plight of the people?
Well, I don't think everything in this country is about President Ahmed Tinubu. We must always understand that Nigeria is a federal state made up of 36 states, made up of 774 local government areas.
From the exclusive legislative list.
Yeah.
Not going to the concurrent or the residual.
It's not,
let's take it from the
necessarily.
Let's take it from the exclusive legislative
list.
Not
necessarily.
All right.
The economic policy is in the exclusive list. Maybe banking is in the exclusive list.
Why I say so is because when we want to judge Nigeria economically, we don't judge it from the state level. We want to judge Nigeria in terms of its poverty rate. We tend to take that conversation from...
Where is the poverty?
Well,
the poverty is in the rural area. You know,
the poverty rate so far from the IMF and other international organizations have not rated Nigeria above the poverty line. So we look at all of this conversation and we say it again, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is doing enough to address certain concern, or this lacuna that we've experienced from his predecessor is further widened by the connectivity between the presidency and the people.
Let me tell you, there's poverty in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes, I have seen homelessness in the U.S. All the major streets of in the U.S. You go there, when you go there, you see homeless people, and it's an indices of poverty. So there is no country in the world that has addressed the issue of poverty completely. If you look at India is also doing very well, and also an emerging economic power. But there's also a lot of poverty in India. So China, from 1949, when Chairman Mao took over, and the revolution started, 2025, can you say that poverty has been completely, wiped away in China? So that is it. So if there's poverty, fine. But we are saying that there is hope. There's a glimmer of hope that all the policies that have been put in place, if those policies mature, maybe in 5 years or 8 years or 10 years time, we'll be, smiling. So I cannot say all Nigerians are unhappy. What is a barometer to gauge the feelings of Nigerians? So Nigerians will be happy about the reforms. Some will not be happy because Nigeria is a vibrant society made up of different people, different communities, different ethnicities, tribes, and so forth and so on. So in a country like that, you do not expect that 80% of people will clap for government when government policies are put in place. Or everybody will say, look, I'm happy, I'm feeling the impact. In as much as some people are not happy. But I'm saying that there is a glimmer of hope that if these policies mature, and everybody will begin to smile. And it will take time for these policies to mature. Okay? And, so that is how it is. That's the truth of the matter, that it will take time for these policies to mature and internalize. But it is a good thing that government has taken the courage to carry out these reforms that will be painful. But these reforms are necessary to move the country forward.
Well, Chief, let's look at these. Since you've talked about the maturity of these policies by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, of course, we know that you are a believer of the renewed hope agenda. I don't know if I'm contrary to that opinion. You're a believer.
Why not? Renew.
You are a believer.
Yes.
Based on my research,
yes.
I discovered you're a believer of the renewed hope agenda. As a matter of fact, you are even preaching the gospel of the renewed hope agenda.
Yes.
That there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
But then let's talk about the rule of law. From time immemorial, Nigerian governments in-out have been known to disobey court rulings and also disregard the judicial system. Nnamdi Kalu's case is just by the side, and we can see what's playing out even across the country, where several chief judges, Court of Appeal, have dismissed the case. But then when the Abuja High Court decide to pass a judgment in favor of the federal government, we saw the federal government quickly implement that decision by taking Nnamdi Kalu to the Sokoto court. And this is not just Nnamdi Kalu. We have other court irregularities of the judiciary. You are in the judicial sector. Can we say at this time that the policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have respect for the judiciary?
Well, I can also, I'm in the judicial level. I'm not part of the judicial sector. I'm a lawyer and also a public analyst. I'm a commentator of public affairs. I do not think the scenario, the narrative you are trying to peddle here, to paint of Nnamdi Kanu or being set free by certain costs. It's not true. That narrative is a lie. It's a propaganda. He has not been set free by any court of law, and that is what even prolonged the trial. A lot of, actions were taken to slow down the process by him, okay? And I do not think that the federal government quickly comply with the judgment. That is what should be. There's nothing wrong with that. A sentence was passed, and as soon as the sentence was passed, they cannot keep you in awaiting trial. The prisons are very congested, and most times the prisons are congested because of awaiting trial. So somebody who has been convicted by a court of law, he has to go to the prison. So, and the court, the day of the sentence was passed, rightly say that because of the gravity of the offenses which he was convicted, and his lack of, he didn't show remorse, and so he has to go to the prison where maximum security will be available to protect him, because the court reason that some people may even want to hurt him because of what he was alleged to have done. So I don't think it is good for you to begin to compare and make an analysis to the extent that the federal government does not obey court orders. Okay, I don't think that analogy is good. The difference between a criminal trial and a civil trial. So in civil trial, if a judgment is passed or if a ruling is delivered, the government may want to appeal. The government may want to exhaust the appellate process of appealing from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, and it can take up to 15 years. And so if the government wants to appeal a judgment, then you cannot rightly argue that the government is in disobedience, because the law says if you appeal, it has to operate as a stay. What you are required to do, you may not do it until you exhaust the appeal process. So I disagree with you that this is a government founded on rule of law. There is no how the government can be completely lawless, because the government was founded on the rule of law. And if the government does not want to obey the law, then the government should not expect citizens to obey the law. But I think government obeys the law. We have the three arms of government. They are operating. The National Assembly is there. We have the Judiciary. We have the Executive. So that is it. So the government is founded on the rule of law. So I would disagree with you that the government is lawless. Otherwise, we shouldn't even have this democracy if the government is lawless. We should have a military dictatorship. But we don't have a military dictatorship. We have a government founded on the rule of law, and all the three branches of government are operating. We also at the state level, at the federal level.
Well, interesting. Well, Chief Obla, let's even take this conversation further to look at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's comment, even at the APC National Summit. He said, and I quote, "Follow or no road." The next comment that follows is, "I know road." A lot of Nigerians have taxonomized that comment to mean that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policy and his whole political agenda is to tilt Nigeria towards a one-party state, which after that comment we've seen that quite a lot of governors moving and also joining the All Progressive Congress. You want to quickly react to this? Is the current administration's policy geared towards pushing Nigeria to one-party state?
There is nothing on ground to justify that assertion that the president is, policies are geared towards establishment of a one-party system in Nigeria. There's nothing like that. As far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is a multi-party democracy. Nobody has altered the constitution to say that we should not have multi-party democracy.
But the comment of the president and the body movement of the president
says
the body language of the
follow
presidency,
who no road.
Follow who no rules, and
that
as
doesn't
such,
mean
every governor right now is following by that assertion.
That is a
joining the All Progressive Congress. That means the president knows the road, and they have joined the All Progressive Congress. Is that not an implication?
I agree with you.
I
disagree with you completely. That is a wrong interpretation to give to an innocuous remark by the president in acting like a politician, which he is. He's a very shrewd politician. So saying that follow who no road, it's like, say, come to my party. What is wrong with that? He has not forced anybody to come to APC. There is a right to freedom of association, and nobody that had joined APC was compelled on gunpoint or was threatened to come to APC. What is playing out is human science. Politics is a human science, and the forces of dynamism, human dynamism, osmosis. When even organs in the body, they move from one place to the other. They look for where they can survive. In every democracy, it is not peculiar to another. Politicians migrate from, different one political platform to the other. For instance, I just read about last week, a leading member of the opposition in Canada moved. Even in UK, two have moved recently, even in America.
But in Nigeria, it's becoming a recurring phenomenon, a common decimal factor. That politicians keep moving.
Yeah, they move because
from different states. We have different state governments moving at the moment.
You remember a story in the Bible where God told Abraham, move. That is, people move.
It never told Abraham to carry people from different states and different nations to move with him.
No. People move.
People go by migration. People go by the old Christian proclivity.
If you know very carefully, are conversant with the history of human migration, where people move from one place to the other. Why do people move? They are looking for new opportunities.
That statement. that statement.
They are looking for new environment.
That statement. That statement by a lot of analysts will say that statement sparked the various movements.
I don't agree.
That we see.
What is happening?
Who know road?
What is
I know road?
What is playing statement out? What is playing out is the incompetency of the opposition parties, the lack of unity of the opposition parties, the lack of seriousness. All the parties are fragmented, all of them. So, for instance, why people were moving from PDP? What cracked PDP? It was Atiku Abubakar's ambition. The PDP constitution says there should be zoning, there should be rotation of presidential tickets, and it was a turn of the southern people from southern Nigeria. And Atiku insisted that he must run, and he was given a ticket. So that was what is causing the implosion in PDP, and people will move. Politicians have ambition. Governors who are, entitled to contest for second term have ambition, and there is a likelihood that the crisis in PDP will mar their chances of even having tickets to contest. Because if you have several national chairmen, several national secretaries, who is going to upload nominations of the candidates who want to run in that political party into INEC website? That's one of the requirements. If you have two chairmen, they cannot do that. If you have two national secretaries, they cannot do that. So if I'm the governor of Okoi Obono State, and I know that I want to go for a second term, and my party is in crisis, why would I remain there? But every politician has vision, every politician has ambition, so I will leave to go to a party that will be conducive for me to run for a second term. That is what is happening. It is not because President Ahmed Bola Tinubu says follow who no road. It is not. I disagree with that analysis. It is because almost all the parties are in crisis. Labour Party is in crisis, and PPC crisis. Different factions. So one of the factions expel one of their members. Papaso, PDP, Labour Party. Even the ADC is in crisis, because when they came and hijacked the structures of ADC from the hands of people who were leaders, the factions that was supplanted went to court, and it will take almost 2 years or 3 years or 4 years for that case to be resolved. So anybody who has ambition will not want to remain in ADC. You would rather want to look for a party that is stable, a party that has no factions, a party that has chances of winning the next elections, and contest. That is the reality of the matter. It is not because anybody wants to introduce the one-party system. Nobody can introduce the one-party system unless we amend the constitution to say that there should be one-party system. And that Nigeria is what I would say is a country that you cannot have a one-party system. The country is a mosaic complexity of different groups, different people, different nationalities, people who practice different faiths. So in a society like Nigeria, it is very difficult to have a one-party dictatorship. It's not possible.
Well, Chief, for lawyers, they will say that we have different rules of interpretation to the laws of any country. First, we have the purposive approach. Then we'll now move to the referential approach before we get to the adjus de generis and start speaking all the legal jargons. When you look at the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies in general, and looking at where Nigerians are right now in reality, can we say that these policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually addressing the primary concerns of Nigerians, even at the grassroots?
Yeah, I've told you that.
At the grassroots.
I've told you,
well,
yes.
No, what I'm asking is, you've mentioned Nel Fund, which I completely agree with you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policy have actually done magnificently well in addressing the students' concern, which has to do with the primary youth.
One thing.
But then,
I go to the market every day.
I've done research.
Yes.
I've been on the grassroots for the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
Going to different
I have also been to the grassroots.
To ask and interrogate these all concerns.
Yeah.
But then, let's get you speak to these policies. Can we say that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies in general is addressing the concerns of the grassroots?
I would say that
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should begin to resign and begin to ask some of his ministers to resign because of the disconnect because we have a total disconnect between the presidency and the grassroots. All somehow, same thing we had with President Muhammadu Buhari, something we had with President Goodluck Jonathan, same thing we have with Yaradua, same thing we had in our nascent democracy.
Well,
we've had disconnect.
It is not peculiar.
But then it has not been addressed right now. Is the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration actually connected to the grassroots?
We have 36 governors. Yes.
The federal policies under the exclusive legislative list.
No. We'll
come back to the concurrent list.
I will disagree with that.
Come back to the concurrent list and the residual list. We'll come back to the concurrent list. We'll come back to the concurrent and the residual list. But going by the exclusive legislative list in your own assessment.
What do you mean by that exclusive legislative list?
Let's take it to the grassroots since you want us to take it to.
What do you mean by that?
The exclusive legislative
related to
list.
the economy.
Let's take it from the security concern.
Are you talking about security or...
You asked, I'm supposed to be the one asking, but you asked me. I want me to also reply at this point in time, Chief Obla. We've had from the security concern, and the economic concern, agriculture, a lot of agricultural provisions is far-reaching. The grassroots are saying that they've not had any form of agricultural boosting from the whole agricultural sector. Let's move away from that. We've also had the disconnect from the youth that says that they don't understand what the federal government is doing at the top because there is a division between the urban and
youth affairs. Is it a matter of concurrent or exclusive?
No, I'm saying you've asked. And I'm saying that the total disconnect between what the government is proposing at the youth level, which are centered around the urban area and have no reaching effect on the rural area. There's a total disconnect. Now, most of the policy tend to be an urban originated policies. But then I'm posing this to you. Is there a disconnect between the old President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and can people within the all in Nigeria say that they are not feeling the impact? Are they justified to make that assertion?
Well, the way the scenario you are painting, unfortunately, is applicable to a unitary state system of government. We have a federal system of government. So we have the federal.
But you know, you know, Chief, you know that
yes.
774 local governments.
Yes. Sure.
It's shocking to say, it's sad to say that the 774 local governments are not in the right home about. You agree with me?
Well, I will disagree with you. I will disagree with you.
Nigerian Constitution.
So you don't blame the federal government.
So let's take it to the state. Let's take it to the state.
Let me come.
Please go ahead.
There are a lot of misconception or lack of understanding, even among the elites, of the roles of the different, governmental levels.
Organs of government.
Yes.
Yeah, the levels of government.
For instance, if a road is not done in it a road that can help the farmers to evacuate their produce from the farm to market or to your market, to Eket market, from Udukpani to Calabar or from Ugeb to Calabar, who should take the blame? The blame cannot be the federal government. The federal government has jurisdiction in Abuja. And we have the governors of Okoi Obono, the governor of Lagos State, across the state, who should take care of the rural roads, or even the local government chairman. If you look at the constitution, under the 4th schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, you will see that the local governments have a responsibility to design economic roadmaps for their local government areas. Are they doing that? And if they fail, you begin to blame the federal government. So, because Nigerians do not understand, the Nigerians do not understand that there are 3 tiers of government, that certain things, like agriculture you are talking about, that agriculture should be addressed by the states. The federal government is a regulator. Okay, even the economic aspect, the regulator. The real thing, the nitty-gritty of people who should boost agricultural production, that will provide employment for a large number of people, are the states and the local government areas. Are they doing that? But nobody blames them. Everybody talks about Abuja, that is very far from Muyo, from Yaka, or from Biase. Abuja is very far. And the president sits here. So that is why we have 3 tiers of government, and we should begin to interrogate why the 2 other tiers of government are not functioning properly. Look, the corruption in the state level, they are very high. For instance, I asked my local government chairman, Yako local government area, give me the records of what you have collected from the federation account every month from November 2024, when you were inaugurated, to November 2025, when you mark your first year in office. And the local government chairman will not give it to me. So to enable me know, because the president keep on saying that he has given sufficient money to local governments, sufficient money to state governments. So I would not know why you cannot clean up the streets, carry out environmental sanitation. You cannot construct markets. You cannot do rural roads for farmers to evacuate their produce to the markets, to generate revenue, to generate activity, to even empower the farmers to have money to send their children to school, to pay hospital bills. So do you blame the federal government for that? So that is what we are saying in Nigeria. The different organs of government, the different levels of government not functioning well. And people are not even questioning them. Look, at the state levels, the governors are never questioned. They do what they like. For instance, in some of the states, like Cross-River State, all the money, the local government chairman keep on saying that they have not been given money. That the money is given to them, they have not received the money. That there are local laws, state laws, that says out of, if they give 100 million naira, about 50 million naira or 80 million naira will be taken away by a law passed by the House of Assembly, authorizing the state to take local government money. So that is what is happening in Nigeria. And Nigerians are not questioning this. Everybody is looking at Abuja. And that is a mistake, where we are not getting it right. As long as we rely on Abuja, the country will never develop. The local government areas should be the hubs of development in Nigeria, to generate the catalyst to revolutionize development in Nigeria. But it's not happening. The basic functions of local governments are not being done.
All right. So since you've mentioned the local government, let's critically assess the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administrations and his policies so far. In generality, can we say the president has done enough in addressing the current realities of Nigerians?
The responsibility cannot be squarely put on the president. The question will be, is the president, the governors, the local government chairman doing enough to change?
No, we're taking that conversation from the, not because we have the levels of government.
Yes.
And we also have the organs of government.
Yes.
So let's take it from the tiers of government, where we have the federal, the state, and the local. We are looking at the federal level right now, which is championed by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Can we say at this point that his policies in place is in tandem with the current realities of Nigerians?
Yeah, I would say yes. I've told you that the federal government is a regulator. In all federal systems, in the US, in Australia, in Canada, in India, in maybe Germany, the federal government plays the role of a regulator of the economy. So what is a regulator supposed to do? For instance, we have a central bank. The central bank is a banker to the federal government. The central bank should stabilize the economy. The central bank should make monetary policies. And we have seen that the monetary policy of the central bank in this government has helped the economy to begin to recover. I have mentioned about the GDP growth rate. The inflation has been reduced. The foreign investors are coming into Nigeria. Okay, that means the central bank is doing its work as a regulator of the economy. And they don't follow up. Should be done by the states, like agriculture, ensuring that people go into agriculture, not building flyovers. Most of the governors are obsessed with building flyovers. So it's not flyovers. They should make agriculture.
It's a modern injection.
Yeah, well,
it's a modern injection.
Let us first address the other smaller
flyover
issues.
is a modern injection.
No.
If you're injected, you must be the flyover.
If you have flyover, people are hungry, and there are no farms, there are no rural roads, there are no interstate roads or intercity roads in most of our states. Like today, I was reading about one guy was complaining about flyovers that were done by Umai when he was governor of Ebonyi State. But there's no road to his village.
Even similarly, the River State, some wicked flyover.
So that is not what we should concentrate on. Yeah. We should concentrate on smaller things that will promote boost the economy at the local level. If you go to Benue, there's a lot of food in Benue, oranges, mangoes, but sometimes these oranges, mangoes, groundnuts, they are wasted because there are no storage facilities, there are no cottage industries to process these fruits, and make it, export it out of the country or make it available to other markets in the country. So that is what the states should concentrate on. It's not in building flyovers. So I think where we are getting it wrong is at the state level and the local government levels. They are not doing their proper, what they are supposed to do.
All right. So if I get you correctly, you're saying at this point that you're saying a yes to all of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration in addressing certain concerns in Nigeria.
Yes, I would say that we should allow these policies to mature. These policies are on the verge of maturity. So in between maturity and and the start, then we should have some feel some pains. It's normal. But when these policies mature, in 4 years' time, when we should be giving President Bola Ahmed Tinubu a score him whether we are going to give him a A1, whether we are going to give him a B, whether we are going to give him a C. 4 years. And if you look at the Constitution says every 4 years, at the end of every 4 years, you have to go for re-election, like you're going for examination. So let us wait. In 2027, we'll give you the scorecard. We'll begin to score him and begin to say, oh, you did this, you did that, you didn't do well in so and so areas. But for certain areas, you have done well.
I've been signaled that our time is fast spent, but
yes.
Let's take this as to be the part one of the conversation, because we've just scratched the surface of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's issues and policies. But then, before I allow you go, there are speculations, even in Cross River State, that Chief Obla Okoi is going to be contesting in the 2027 election in Cross River State. How correct is this assertion?
Who's our election?
Well, I don't know. We've heard. But there are speculations everywhere that a lot of people are rooting for you to be the governor of the state.
No.
And also probably House of Rep or Senate member of the state.
Well,
but then let's get you talking to us firsthand.
In the next 8 years or 7 years, I cannot aspire to be governor because I come from Central Cross River State. By Nigeria, our normal way of doing things, governorship is
by the zoning in Cross River State.
exactly. So I cannot. It will be. I will live in a full paradise if I begin to aspire to be governor in the next 6 years. If the governorship is zoned to the southern part of Cross River State. For the Senate, I don't think the political ecosystem is in my favor. Okay, to have ticket to contest, the governors are very powerful. The governors have taken control of the party. Even though the party was founded by some of us, we don't have a space there. The governors have taken charge. If you're not in the books of the governor, it's not likely that you have a ticket to contest. So I'm not aspiring to contest because the ecosystem is not in my favor. As a politician, you have to be visionary. You have to read the political barometer very well. I have read it very well. I don't think the present administration in Cross River State will be disposed to give me a ticket to contest. So I'm not aspiring. I have to be realistic.
Well, Chief Obla, I have a lot of things to discuss with you, but like I said before, let's start this already part one of this conversation about because looking at how enthusiastic and also how passionate you are about the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, how you've gone far to preach the gospel of the renewed hope agenda. One can take away the conversation from you that you believe so much in this administration, that the administration is going to do well. But on this note, I want to say thank you so much for finding out time to be with us here on Correro.
Thank you, Sandy. It's a pleasure.
We will definitely bring you back again, Chief, to talk more on this issue. Well, viewers, this is how far we can go tonight on this conversation. Don't forget that you can follow us and join the conversation across all our social media land currently showing on your screen. And you can also download the Rapid TV app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye for now.